YouTube, this is Ty. Welcome back, and I'm back to you with another video. And this is just something to show that I had fixed recently. This is a game I picked up about a year and a few months ago called Radikal Bikers. And the reason I picked this game up was to actually repair a different game I had that had a bad monitor in it, which was my Capcom Vs SNK. So when I got this, I wasn't concerned much about whether the game worked or not, but it did. I picked it up for, I think it was under $100. I'm not sure exactly how much I paid. But I got this game home, and I turned it on and let my kids give a play at it, and my son Edgar just loves this game, and he's actually able to play it, which is good because most of the games he can't really play. He's too young at being 4 years old. So I decided, well, I'm going to keep this game. And it was fortunate because I was able to then, shortly afterwards, to pick up a 27-inch VGA arcade monitor, which is much better to go with a Naomi because Naomi supports VGA resolutions. And that worked out great for my Capcom Vs SNK. And I was like, oh, great, I got a game that my son can play. And it wasn't much more than a week or two later that the monitor stopped working in this. And the issues that were happening, what would happen is you turn the game on and it would come on for a minute or a couple minutes or maybe only a few seconds, and then it would shut off. And what that's called is shutdown. And the reason that happens is in a monitor, or just in a CRT tube, when the voltage called the B+ voltage gets too high, the tube will start emitting too much X-rays out of it and become dangerous. And so there's a special circuit called the shutdown circuit, which will turn the monitor off, if I'm correct on that. I believe that's what I understand on this. And so what was happening is either the shutdown was shutting down because it was doing its job, or it was malfunctioning and it was shutting off incorrectly. So I had asked some people like what they think I should do to fix this, and the immediate suggestion I got from almost everybody was, well, do a cap kit in it and replace all the capacitors in it. And I said, well, I didn't really think that was the issue because I had the monitor was working perfectly fine. There wasn't any kind of clue that the capacitors were bad. But anyway, so I listened to them, and I ended up ordering a capacitor kit here. This is from Bob Roberts, and as you see here, it's got every capacitor from the monitor. Replace it to because capacitors go bad. And so I didn't really want to go and doing that. It was like, it takes a long time to change all the capacitors in it, and I had other projects I was working on at the time. So the monitor just sat on the side. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I really don't think it's the B+ voltage at all. I don't think it's the capacitors at all. So I started tweaking with it just the other day, and there was two issues. Besides that issue, I found another one. I took the monitor out, which I will get to later. Was the clip for the flyback coil was actually broken, but I'm going to talk about the other part first. On the shutdown circuit and the B+ voltage, there's actually two potentiometers on this board that you can turn to adjust the threshold of the shutdown and as well as the level of the voltage for B+. And both of those on this particular monitor are epoxied in place on the board, which really makes them hard to turn them. And when I first was messing with it, I was trying to take a screwdriver and snap the epoxy off, and that wasn't working, like a little tiny screwdriver. But then what I'd do is I just grabbed a pair of needle-nose pliers, and before I did it, I marked the position of the potentiometers, and with a fine point Sharpie, and I just took the pliers and just gave it a twist, and the epoxy wasn't very strong around that area, and it just turned, and I was able to turn the pots. So I rotated the pots, and I rotated them back to their original positions, and it must have cleaned up the pot, because maybe the pot was having a bad connection, and I put the monitor back together, turned it on, and it's working perfectly fine now, no shutdown. This has been on now for, I would say, about 40 minutes, or before it wouldn't even get close to that amount of time. And so just those two, just turning those pots and rotating them back, got this monitor working again. And the other issue was on monitors, there's a thing called a flyback coil, and that provides the voltage to the tube to generate the electron beams and stuff. Well, the electrons come from this part, and I'm not an expert on this, but anyways, the point I'm trying to get at here is this is the flyback connector, and you see it's like a suction cup with this little clip here, and then there's a hole here in a tube. Now, don't touch this if you have a monitor and you have not discharged your monitor. I posted a video, about maybe 2 years ago, where I discharged a tube on my Galaga. So make sure you know how to discharge a tube before you start touching these things. But this clip here is just, it clips into place like that, and the suction cup keeps a force on it, and that allows the electricity to travel from the big coil to the tube. So on this one, the clip was actually busted, and see, this is the actual original clip, and the wire would go through here. It was soldered on the top, and you've got these two clips right here, and you see one of them is broken off. So first thing I did was I was like, okay, well, let me try to make a new one. So I made a new one out of a piece of aluminum, and it came out pretty decent. It looks a lot like the original, but the problem was is aluminum and solder they're not compatible metals, and so you can't get solder to stick to aluminum. So that wasn't going to work. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to grab a piece of sheet metal and do it. But my sheet metal was too thick, and it was too hard to cut it and bend it in position. So finally, what I ended up doing, and a lot of people might think this is funny, but I went to my ductwork, and there's some on the cold air return portion. There's a big sheet of metal here, and I just cut a little bit off the edge here where it wasn't necessary, and I got it just enough to make another replacement clip, and it came out great, and I was able to clip it into place and put the monitor back together, and as you see, it's working. So that's the issues with the monitor, and just want to go on to something else here. I'm going to talk about this actual game, there's a lot of interesting things, at least I think about it. So, as I said, this is by Atari Games. The game was actually produced by Galco, which makes mostly adult games, but they made this game for Atari. I don't know if they made it for Atari, but they made this game, and Atari licensed it for the United States. You see it says Atari Games Corporation, and at the time, Atari Games was owned by Midway. So you'll notice this cabinet looks a lot like a Midway cabinet, like you'd see in Mortal Kombat. And actually, that's the interesting thing is, if you look at the artwork here, you see it's peeling off, and underneath this artwork, there's a few spots where you can see it better. I was able to figure it out just by the little bit that's showing on this cabinet that this actually was originally a Mortal Kombat 4. And there's no indication that it was in Mortal Kombat 4 except for the artwork. So my best guess on this is that this was actually converted before it was ever sent out from Mortal Kombat 4 to a Radikal Bikers. At the time, Mortal Kombat 4 was not a very popular game. It didn't sell very well, so they probably decided to reuse the cabinets, much like how Nintendo, back when Donkey Kong came out, used radar scopes and converted them to Donkey Kongs for the first initial Donkey Kongs that were released in the United States. So that's the interesting thing about this game. Another thing you'll see here is I need to do a few more repairs on it. I don't have all the parts in here right now. I had this thing apart and I was working on it. So the things I need to replace on this, primarily, let me pick this up with one hand. So in here, the throttle cable is actually broken. But the funny thing is that the throttle cable is just a switch. So it's not like you actually have a control over the amount of throttle on the bike. So what I did here is actually, you see right there's the switch. Let's see, do I have it right there? You see I don't think I'm getting the camera on there. Alright, you see right here there's a clip. Now this clip to the switch. And then I have it here clipped to ground. And what this is doing is just sticking the throttle on full because the cable's broken. And to be honest with you, when you're playing this game, you never, ever have to let off on the throttle pretty much. You can just press the brake. So, that solves that issue primarily for that. But, again, I want to fix that, so I'm going to try to get a replacement cable for that. I'm going to have to make something up because you can't buy the part anymore. And additionally, on the panel here, I'm going to replace the plexi. I'm going to use the same technique I used on my Marvel vs. Capcom, where I used the original plexiglass as a template, and I use my router bit, which is a cut. Essentially, it's a straight routing bit, and I can duplicate plexiglass cuts by just using that and going along the outside by stacking the original on top of an uncut piece of plexiglass. So I can cut those out, I'll replace that, I'll clean the artwork up, swap out the buttons. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. It's mainly just for the kids to play, and the artwork is kind of trash on this anyways. I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars to replace the artwork. It's just for the kids to play. I might change the T-molding, I don't know. But for now, it's just to get it working so my son can play it. And it is working. He could play it now, but other than that, that's all it is for this one here. So that's all I want to talk about this game. You know, the great thing, actually, I'll give you a little gameplay. This game actually has some really catchy music. I'm going to turn it up right now so you can hear it better. I actually can play this game one-handed because the throttle's already on.
Let's go!
Hopefully I'm holding the camera good because I'm mostly looking at the game right now. I don't know if I'll be able to pull the wheelie when I need to. It's a lot like, you'll find it's a lot like Crazy Taxi, except for you're driving a scooter and you're delivering pizza. So there's one spot where you need to slow down. I'll use the brake. The music's kind of catchy.
Let's go!
Shortcuts, and that's almost necessary in this game because in order to get a good time, you have to take the shortcuts. I haven't ever been able to beat your rival without taking the shortcuts. Pretty much requires that you take them all. They're coming up on me. They actually can drive faster than me.
Let's go!
See, I've got the turbos, and they're still ahead of me. I mean, it's not. It goes to show that this game is crazy. I took the shortcut here. That should put me ahead of them, but not by much. Oh, now they're probably going to pass me now. I missed the possible turbo there. Here come the zombies. So I missed that pizza. Missed that chase.
Let's go!
hard one here. I missed the turbo, which means I'm pretty much behind. I won't win this one. Yeah, they're already across the finish line now. So I think if you get that final one, there's a extra track you do, and there's 3 levels to this game, and this is the easiest one. Oops. There you go. So there's Radikal Bikers. So it's not a bad game if you like those kind of games. I mean, I'd much rather have Crazy Taxi. It's more fun, but it's a good game nonetheless. So everybody, thank you for watching, and I'll try to have another video for you soon.